Hi, everyone, and welcome to Procure Pulse, the managed services podcast that provides you with current trends, best practices, and the latest supply chain news to help you stay informed. I'm Anna Ormiston, your host, and I'd like to invite you to email us with questions at info@conductive.com or connect with us on LinkedIn by following Conductive or on Twitter at Conductive Inc. Thanks so much for joining us today. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Today, we are going to talk about the lessons that we in the supply chain have learned from COVID-19. Our headquarters are in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we have just passed the 1-year mark from when we were first ordered to shelter in place. I don't know about you, but when this all started, we thought this would be temporary. But in the last year, as we have settled into what some people have called the new normal, we found ourselves in a new rhythm, and we began to watch the impact of this global pandemic hit hospitals. It became pretty clear pretty quickly that the changes we were facing were not temporary, but as hospitals and healthcare providers were forced to pivot, we became even more aware of some of the serious challenges that needed to be addressed. So the question is, what has the supply chain, specifically purchase services or managed services, learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, and how can this impact our strategies moving forward? The first lesson we have learned is the importance of having a centralized model for your purchase services spend. Hit with the pandemic, hospitals quickly realized that they did not have a single source of truth for purchase services. Many did not have clarity into what their contracted suppliers were, and they did not have a clear picture of their purchase services spend. This quickly became a problem as hospitals were forced to spend what they needed in order to protect their staff and their patients, but without controls over spend, utilization, and with few ways to measure supplier performance, supply chain teams were left struggling. Now, those of us who work in the supply chain understand that standardization is key. It is key for quality, for compliance to CMS. It's extremely important to be able to measure and standardize the services you are being provided. The us versus them mentality between suppliers and providers began to really feed off the need for a massive amount of services to be received quickly and left many providers in utter chaos. And that's why this first takeaway, having a system that is center-led, having a single source of truth for your purchase services spend is so key. A center-led strategy allows you to balance local needs and centralize financial and quality management. It also allows you to clearly categorize and then manage the categories of spend that your particular facilities have. Center-led strategies give you a common and continuous view of your data so you can understand your contracts, your suppliers, utilization, prices, and, with the right tools, spend by location and stakeholder or facility groups. It truly allows you to manage your stakeholders' needs alongside with your organization's needs for standardization and qualification. The second lesson that we learned from the pandemic is the importance of building up and growing relationships between hospitals and suppliers. Removing that us versus them mentality, which we quickly saw take over during the early weeks of the pandemic, is critical to fostering a healthy relationship with suppliers. And that healthy relationship, in turn, is crucial. Building relationships with your suppliers means that there can be an increased flexibility with terms and delivery when crisis response is needed. Truly partnering with service providers can allow for the creation of novel services that suppliers can give to healthcare providers. We all saw how quickly businesses who did not make PPE were able to step in and pivot their business model to allow them to produce products. The dynamic adjustment of provided services can allow hospitals to provide higher quality care and, at the end of the day, as we saw, can even keep hospitals running and treating patients. Relationships are key to this sort of creative response. Building a strong relationship with your suppliers can also lead to faster activation and implementation of contracts and can ensure the delivery of patient care and business continuity. So again, fostering relationships between suppliers and providers is a key takeaway that can not only help you today, but can help prepare you for potential crises we may face in the future. The third takeaway we have from COVID-19 is that we need to balance our savings needs with the value of a contract. Managed services are a greenfield for savings, and that healthcare providers can achieve an average of about 24% savings per category. But cost savings are not the only important thing to negotiate when looking at managed services. Total contract value needs to be carefully examined when contracting service providers. Today, to navigate the fiscal uncertainty wrought by the pandemic, organizations are turning to the supply chain to seek deeper cost savings and efficiencies within their supplier base. Knowing when and where to push on value remains a key driver for supply chain, so as not to disrupt the stability of business operations. In some cases, a little extra spend can ensure business continuity and provide vast peace of mind. Tapping into category expertise and implementing a purchase services optimization strategy can help supply chain organizations understand where to focus their time and energy in order to improve ROI. So 3 key lessons we have learned from COVID-19 remain that 1, it is essential to build a center-led program for your purchase services. 2, developing and growing your relationships with suppliers is key to protecting your supply chain in times of crisis. And 3, cost savings must always be balanced with the overall value of a contract. Today, more than ever, we are hearing the term resilience, not just with individuals, but with entire businesses. The impact of last year has left us incredibly aware that building businesses that are able to pivot strategically in difficult times is wildly important. A study by Bain Analysis showed that companies with resilient supply chains grow faster because they can more rapidly move to meet customer needs when market demands shift. They increase their perfect order rate by 20 to 40% and customer satisfaction by as much as 30%. Supply chain teams need to focus on building up their resilience so that they can create and operate a purchase services program that will be able to stand up to a world that is constantly and quickly changing. It is essential that businesses invest in strong, flexible platforms that can help supply chain teams overcome the impact of disasters. There are so many lessons that we've learned from COVID-19, and we are continuing to learn and grow as we pivot in how we evolve this pandemic. Today, we've hit on a few main topics that can help organizations draw lessons from the past year. We would love to hear from our listeners other key takeaways that your team has learned from the pandemic. We would like to invite you to email us at info@conductive.com to share with us or to join our COVID-19 Mindshare LinkedIn group, where we invite healthcare providers to connect with one another. Join us for our next episode of Procure Pulse, the podcast for managed services leaders. We will be talking about how you can plan for an unknown future. Again, I'm Anna Ormiston, your host, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.